Hi there, good morning everybody. Thanks very much for joining us today. Today we're having a panel discussion in celebration of Scottish Housing Day, and we're going to be focusing on the value of social housing. So we've invited people from across our organisation to join us. My name's Anna Coyle. I'm the Head of Executive Office and Company Secretary for Hebridean Housing Partnership, and I've got colleagues and partners here today, and we're going to be having that discussion. We're meeting via Microsoft Teams, which is how we've been meeting for the last 5 or 6 months. Obviously with COVID and social distancing and the fact that our offices are closed, we've been holding all of our meetings, including our board meetings and our AGM, via Microsoft Teams. So it's just to give you a bit of an insight as well as to how these meetings work and how we're able to continue to communicate and deliver our services to our tenants. So without too much further ado from me, I think, like I say, it's in celebration of Scottish Housing Day, and the topic that we're discussing this morning is the value of social housing. So I think I'd like to hand over to Delina, and Delina, if you could just introduce yourself and give me your thoughts on the value of social housing.
Hi folks, so my name's Delina Morrison and I work for TPAS, and I'm the new tenant participation worker on the island, and my role is to engage with tenants and be a bridge between them and HHP in changing housing policy for the better. The value of social housing to me is, well, I've always lived in it, so it's pretty valuable to me. it's and I probably always will, unless I win the lottery. But I mean, to me, the most main thing, it's affordable. Social housing is affordable. And the difference between social housing and, say, the private sector is you can make a house your home. And I think that's the most important thing of social housing. It's stability. You can lay down roots, and with that, you can be part of a wider community, which can bring you so much support and can be a great sense of belonging. And with that, of course, you have that sense of empowerment that the house is your home.
Thanks, Delina, that's great. Kevin, you're one of our housing officers. Would you mind introducing yourself and, from your perspective, talking about what you think the value of social housing is and what your role and HHP's role within that is?
Yeah, I'm Kevin Polk. I'm one of the housing officers in Lewis. So the value of the quality of social housing that HHP provided, I think we supply and build really affordable quality properties. And I would echo what Delina said, that people have the security of that tenancy, so they can really stay in that property as long as they like, and they can really become part of that community and move things forward. We continue to invest in our properties as well, so we continue to upgrade them to make them as good as they can be and provide our tenants with a good quality home. My role as a housing officer is obviously to support the tenants in all aspects of their tenancy, assist with their rent payments, benefit entitlements, help them with any property support and give them guidance, and obviously any community concerns that they have, and be that face of HHP, as it were, that first port of call. So yeah, it's really different role. You never know what you're coming into every day, but it's good fun. And definitely challenging, but exciting.
That's great, Kevin. Thanks for that. Why do you think HHP is of particular importance within the Outer Hebrides?
I think we're really important because we obviously cover the full island group. We have 2,250 homes, so it's a massive amount of properties, and obviously we're in all the communities. It's not concentrated in one area. We are spread throughout, so we are helping support and create communities almost in some of the more rural locations.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Kevin. Janangus, what's your role at HHP, and what do you think the importance of the services that we're delivering, particularly during the times that we've been going through recently?
Hi there, I'm Janangus MacDonald, one of the Clerk Works. We're a team of 3 who cover Lewis, and during lockdown we were helping out with the housing officers with food deliveries and parcels. Could have been, it was at the beginning anything. If anybody was short of anything, quite often we were helping out. And during lockdown, we were going around the schemes as well. At the beginning of lockdown, going around the schemes to see if anything was happening outside. Quite often the tenants weren't coming out. Might have been too scared to come out to see if anything happened. So we were going around the scheme for a few weeks as well. And since then, lockdown has passed to a certain degree, and we've got a lot of the contracts started back up. We've got heating contracts, which are, I think they're in their 5th week now. Bathroom contracts starting soon, and kitchen contracts starting soon. And we've also had the new bills. They've all started back up. We've had one scheme of 4, which I think the keys are coming in maybe today or on Monday. We've got another scheme of 10, which is nearing completion. That's due for at the end of the month as well. So a lot of the contracts are up and running. New bills are nearing completions, and there's other schemes that are ongoing as well.
That's great. Thanks very much for that. I think you raise a really important point that really does go right to the heart of the value of social housing, in that it's so much more than just a house. So the support that the housing officers and the frontline staff and customer services were able to offer to the tenants when we initially went into lockdown, I mean, I think that's proven to be invaluable. And certainly we've had a lot of wonderful feedback from people that genuinely appreciated that additional contact, whether it was from their housing officer, whether it was yourself and the team going round to make sure everything was okay with the properties at a distance and to the extent that you could. I think that's, I mean, you can't put a value on that, and it particularly in the smaller communities. I think, Fiona MacDonald, would you like to talk to the panel about why you think the community is important?
Absolutely. So I'm Fiona MacDonald. I'm one of the housing officers. I live in South Uist, that's the Southern Isles. Obviously, we've all got properties that we look after from Lewis right through to the Isle of Barra. So the islands, as we know, have a declining population. So and an elderly population as well. So we need more people to come to the islands, and with that, the community is so important in this very unique environment that we all work and live in. Unfortunately, we do have, as we know, vacant properties with no waiting lists, and this is due to population decline. But with the pandemic, we have all been working remotely from home, like a lot of our tenants and people within the community. I think we've proven that we can still maintain services and people can still get jobs done. We have the infrastructure here in the islands, in the communities. I can't say it's fully rolled out in all areas, but our schemes are pretty good. And certainly these vacant properties that we have, there are broadband, people can work from home. So really, with people coming here, applying for houses here, we can then encourage schools, people put their children to the schools, keeps the schools busy. The add-ons to that is to keep the service providers busy, the garages, the hotels, the restaurants, the shops. So in this very fragile economy that we have here in the islands, it just keeps the buoyance, and there's certainly a huge community spirit here. It's a wonderful place to stay. I wouldn't be anywhere else. I've lived here for over 30 years. I certainly wouldn't be anywhere else. I absolutely love the islands, and it's such a community spirit. Everyone looks after each other, as we know here, and certainly we know our tenants well, which is great because we're able to help them better because we know them well, and we want to get to know them well because that's all part of the service and the customer service as well. So yeah, we want people to come here. We need to encourage that. We've got some empty properties. They're good properties and some lovely locations. It's amazing the views some of our properties have. I really want to get that out there, and I wish we could publicise that more, to be honest. It really is incredible, some of the views these houses have, and yeah, we just need more people here. We need to get that word out, people to apply, and come and live and work here, and just, you know, to get in touch.
That's great, Fiona. Thank you very much for that.
No,
we've got some interference, I think. There we go. That's better. Slight technical glitch. Yeah, that's wonderful. As part of our celebrations for Scottish Housing Day, we will also be putting a blog together. So we'll make sure that we share some of those details with anybody that might be interested, anybody that might want to take you up on that and come and see some of your wonderful properties. There's shared equity properties available as well. So we'll make sure that we continue to try and get that message out. Terry, if I can come to you next, what would you say some of the extra benefits of a quality functional social housing system are, and what's your part to play in that?
So, hi, I'm Terry Ovenston. I'm the Regional Manager for FASFM. We've been a partner of HHP since 2011, so we undertake all the repairs and maintenance for all the properties in the Western Isles. So, some of the benefits of a quality social housing system is that we have better efficiencies, we have consistent processes and control over these processes, we have a good understanding of what our tenants want and need, and that's through feedback from tenant groups, feedback from our partners within HHP, and also that 360 review process, 360-degree review process from our engineering team. We've looked at risk management as well, so obviously with that robust process in place, we've managed to reduce risk throughout the Western Isles, and that's been a real benefit over the last sort of 6 months, where we've had to still provide a service through the lockdown period. Hopefully with all these processes in place, we've seen increased customer satisfaction, and that's been at the forefront of what we've done as a team. And we engage with TPAS, we engage with tenant groups, we engage with the board, and also our colleagues within HHP, and we have a one-team approach. So if there's a problem, we look at that together, and there's no finger pointing as such, and that's been a real step change, and has done us really well over the last sort of 10 years. Some of the benefits of the long-term partnership that we have is obviously what we can introduce over and above our contractual obligations. So we talked a bit about community and how it's important in the Western Isles to support our fragile economy. So community benefits are a big driver for both parties, FAS and HHP, over the last sort of 10 years. The biggest thing, or the biggest change we've seen, is the amount of apprentices that we've been able to sustain over the 10-year period. These individuals are still within our business and have moved on to bigger and better things in other regions of our organisation. We've upskilled most of our employees have climbed through the business, and we've seen some massive changes in people where we've spent the time in development on making sure they have the right skill set to do the job they're doing here in the Western Isles. We do a lot of work with the education department, both through ourselves and Hebridean Housing, to make sure that our young individuals are coming out of school with the right skill set, the right mindset as well to go into the work environment. We have environmental and community support, community enhancement, where we look at how we can support communities and improve in their areas. And again, that's done through TPAS, through the local offices, both in Benbecula and Stornoway, and that's been a massive success. But the biggest thing for ourselves is the supply chain development. We've seen, working with HHP, that 70% of our procurement is procured locally, so both services and product, which has invested millions of pounds back into the local economy, which is a real success for ourselves, and getting supply chain to a place where they're up to a national standard. I don't think there's much else that I can really talk about on that one, Anna, unless you have any further questions.
No, I think that's great. I mean, I think it is about just trying to explain the wider benefits outside of just bricks and mortar that we can deliver, and the partnership working that we've got. I think it was really encouraging to hear you talk about our houses. So it is that one team approach ultimately to benefit the tenants and the people that live in the houses that we provide. I think that is really important, and that's been really successful with the partnership over the years. You did mention the work that you do with apprentices and in the schools, and I'd just like to quickly turn to Tina, if that's okay, just to talk a wee bit more about some of the other work that HHP do in that area.
Yeah, hi, my name's Tina. I'm the Training and Development Officer here at HHP, and we've recently been in communication and partnership with the local council and with some of the other partnership agencies round about with regards to working directly in the schools with school pupils of secondary school age to deliver a qualification. It will be an assessed qualification about gaining and sustaining a tenancy. So trying to prepare the young people of the islands for when they do take that next step into their housing future, whether that be moving into halls of residence, whether it be moving in with friends, whether it be going out and getting their first property, and trying to help prepare them for that next step that they take. So that's a really exciting project which we're hoping to get off the ground shortly. Unfortunately, the coronavirus pandemic has pushed the start date for that back a little bit. But it was really good to see that the working together that was already happening around that. I think it'll be really good to get that up and running and off the ground. And when we're looking at the value of social housing, as Dolina had said as well, it goes beyond the bricks and the mortar of the houses that we're in, to the homes that we're in, and helping the young people of the communities make that home of their own, I think, is really important. And it's also really important for all of us to see that the benefit and the value of social housing in terms of our local economies and the security that it can bring, the jobs that it brings as well, not just to ourselves here working perhaps as HHP or FES or TPAS, but also, as Teddy mentioned, the apprentices and trades. We have development, we have maintenance, we have all these other elements to social housing that create such an important value to the local economy of the Outer Hebrides. So,
yeah, that's great. No, I would definitely agree with that. I think that's there's been some really interesting discussion there. There's another person I'd like to turn to, because we provide the services, we provide the day-to-day, but none of that for HHP would be possible without our board. Now it's a voluntary board that we've got, and we're very grateful for the time and expertise of the board members. We are going to be shortly recruiting additional board members, so would welcome people to get involved, join as members of the organisation. And then myself and my team can talk and explain the process through to people. Tina does a lot of work on board skills and board skills assessment to make sure that people feel comfortable and content in delivering the board services. But I am not the best person to talk about what the board does, so I'll hand it over to Fiona for that. Thanks, Fiona.
Okay.
Sorry, I think you're.
Yeah. Hi, my name's Fiona McLeod, and I'm a board member. And essentially, the board sets the direction for HHP, and we do this through a business planning process. And then we work with officers to make sure we deliver on our plan. And then we help with the governance as well. But it was interesting when Dolina spoke about, making this house my home. That's exactly what everybody's spoken about today. And that is indeed the board's vision. And that is something that we really focus on as a board. And how do we work to achieve that? Well, we've heard from Terry, and we've heard from Kevin and Fiona and John about how we put the tenant at the focus of everything we do. It's really all about the tenants, and their feedback is really, really important. And having tenant members on the board is really important. So if you're a tenant listening to this, please think about coming on the board and having your say and helping direct the future of housing provision on our islands. We also try to invest in homes in an environmentally sustainable way. That's one of the things we try to do because of all the resource constraints, but also because we face a lot of fuel poverty here in our islands. So when John was talking about heating, we try and get the best possible types of heating solutions. We try and make our homes future-proof. By that I mean we think about the needs of the tenants years from now, in terms of mobility, in terms of lots of things, because we need to provide homes that are fit for purpose for older people, but also for young families that we want to attract to the islands. We also try hard to be a good employer, and I can't say if we are or not, but we do seek all feedback from our teams. It's been fantastic that COVID's brought many challenges, but it's been wonderful how everyone has just pitched in, got to grips with the new technology. I mean, for me, it's opened up so many different ways of working, and that's going to deliver lots of benefits for people who can combine work with caring roles and all the other roles that we all have in our lives. And what else would I like to say? I think for me as well, we also believe in partnership working. And many of us have talked about the issues facing our islands. And I think HHP have a unique insight into the needs of our tenants. We see them in the place of safety, their home. And some of these needs go beyond housing. But I sincerely hope that we keep trying to work together with the other agencies, because we've got huge issues like social inclusion, health, education. Jonas talked a bit about employment. So has Tina. We've got vulnerable people. And so we need to see the whole person and focus the services on the person and not on the needs of the organisation. And that's just by a quick summary of my approach to being a board member. Please make inquiries. We'd love new members. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks ever so much, Fiona. That's great, and I would absolutely echo what you've said there regarding new members. We'll post contact details. I mean, you've got the contact details, but we'll make sure that we get them shared generally, and obviously also in celebration of Scottish Housing Day. So that has been a really interesting discussion. Hopefully, a good insight for those of you that maybe aren't too familiar with the day-to-day workings and what we do. I set the panel a challenge, which was not to use the expression the new normal or unprecedented, and I'm delighted that they've passed with flying colours. I think just by way of quick summary, some of the key takeaways for me from the discussion are the tenants are at the centre of absolutely everything that we do, that we've done, and that we will do. We do have wonderful properties available to rent, and also shared equity properties. Partnership working is one of the central tenets of what we do as well. So thanks to Lena and Terry for joining us. Does anyone want to raise their hand to add any other final takeaways to that? Nope, nobody at all. Okay, well, thanks ever so much for taking the time today, and hopefully you've all found that interesting. I'll share the details, and we'll be sharing a blog as well. So # Scottish Housing Day. All right, thanks ever so much, everyone.
Bye-bye.